So the topic for today is, well, Semen Retention Sunday, and it's going to be how you will be the cause of her emotions. And just as a reminder, semen retention isn't necessarily about attracting women. This is about maintaining and cultivating a better relationship with yourself, but this is going to be a byproduct when you practice semen retention. And really, whenever you are just in tune with yourself, I think, but with the specific quality of semen retention, your influence over her emotions are going to be all the more powerful. And also, just want to do some housekeeping. I'm holding a Q&A session for only males on October 1st, which is just a week from today. And this is going to be a great opportunity for you to meet other men that are on the semen retention journey or just the spiritual journey that want to grow closer to God and grow closer to the Most High. And these kinds of group sessions are a great way to elevate your vibration and to just feel more in tune with everything in nature. So please feel free to check that out in the link below at Regalchange Academy. And with that being said, let's get further into today's topic. So what exactly does it mean that you will be the cause of her emotions? Now, I actually haven't seen anybody else talk about this on semen retention, but I have seen other quote unquote dating coaches or anything people talk about this kind of thing. Now, I do not consider myself a dating coach. That is not my forte. I'm here to give spiritual insight and spiritual life coaching. That's more of my niche. And I just don't think dating coaches or anything like that are going to be very helpful for you in the long term. In fact, I think if you just go on semen retention, you're not going to need any of that shit. So this is more of an educational video. I'm not telling you what you need to do to attract girls, because when you're practicing semen retention, bro, you're just going to get it. There's going to be it's just going to be so natural to you that it's not going to be too big of a problem. And because you are retaining your energy. You've got that great milk that's available. You've got the best milk in the community that's available to anybody. So you're going to be the one that's the prize and the valued person, because you actually have something of value. You have discipline, you have encouragement, you have all of these different kinds of things just going on within yourself when you're practicing this kind of practice. And so you can influence a woman's emotions by using verbs to draw emotion. Now, what exactly does that mean? Because in another video recently, I've mentioned that a sage once said that verbs grow and nouns don't. So this is one way that you can encourage an emotional response from a woman. Because think about this. When's the last time that a woman that hasn't sought out some kind of emotional envelopment into something? A woman's not going to be invested in anything unless she feels some kind of emotional inclination to do so, right? This is just how women work. And so your job is going to be to grow backbone and not a fucking wishbone, okay? You've got to stay true to who you are and just be yourself. And the way that you do that is by speaking certain kinds of verbs into existence when you're communicating with women. Your greatest, I wouldn't say weapon per se, because that's some of what other dating coaches, quote unquote, have called it, is your greatest weapon is a woman's imagination. But I like to think of it as your greatest probability for success in the relationship is her imagination. And the way that you spark that imagination is by using verbs in your speech. If you're constantly using nouns, you're going to be pretty boring after a while. And it's not because, we men are logical, right? So if we think about it as, well, if I'm investing a certain amount of speech or a certain amount of energy into this relationship, business wise or else, like I'm going to get some return on investment, right? I'm going to get some return for what I've implemented. Again, that's not the case with women. Oftentimes, all you need to do is to spark her imagination enough to want to get more of an emotional inclination and attachment to you. And I'm not saying this to be manipulative. I'm not saying this to say go out and manipulate women. That's not exactly what I'm doing at all in the slightest. I do not encourage that kind of behavior. I am just simply saying that if you want to improve your relationships with those around you, specifically women in this case, then you're going to have to learn how to use proper speech and how to speak certain things into existence so that you can create a emotional connection. Because at the end of the day, that's what women want. Us men don't necessarily need that. You know, one thing that's really cool about us men is we can be at the park watching the sunset with our dog and just think, wow, life is amazing. You know, we can do that. But that's not like, I've often found that in my relationships with women in the past where if I was completely content with just chilling out, like they were almost jealous. They were almost envious of me. And I didn't know why at the time. I was like, you can do it too. Like, it's pretty real. Like, you can just chill. It's fine. But you have to think about it like this. Their emotional needs will never, ever, 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 ever be satisfied. Okay? So your job is to invoke enough emotional stimulation to where it leaves her wanting more, but she also gets some kind of, I wouldn't say thrill exactly, but this kind of, and I wouldn't say affection necessarily either. And I'm not saying that you can't be affectionate, and I'm not saying that you can't be thrilling, but I'm saying that there's somewhere in between that you need to be in. And I've often thought also about how if more guys were on retention, if more guys were on semen retention, and we were able to influence the emotions of women in a more positive way, I think we could turn the tides of culture around. I genuinely believe that. Like, think about this. If every single man that is not in a relationship right now, let's say, and I'm not saying that you can't practice semen retention on like when you're in a relationship, because I have had that question before. But what I'm saying is if every man that's single right now started to practice semen retention, got off the pornography, stopped doing PMO, just focused on building something for themselves, getting more fit, getting more educated, some kind of intellectual endeavor. You know, there's just a multitude of things that you could be doing with your time and energy. And other than doing PMO or watching porn or chasing women, there's just so many different things. But if every man was able to get on semen retention that's single right now, and they were starting to be able to say no to women, because I think that's really where your source of power is as a man, is when you are able to, if you even love this person, or you care about this person, and you don't want to necessarily leave her, but you know that if you pursue and continue in the relationship, like if you bend over frontwards or you bend over backwards to make her happy, because that's what we're told by society to do, is to constantly be perfect for her. You know, we want to be good for her. What about her being good enough for us, guys? Has anybody ever thought of that? Like, has anybody ever thought of that? Maybe this woman, as hot as she is, as attractive as she is, she's not really quite what I'm looking for. And having the balls to say, look, I have this feeling of affection for you. I have an affinity for you. But I do not think that we're compatible for the long term. Therefore, you go your way, I go my way. And there's no hard feelings. It's just, it is what it is. Well, sometimes, in my experience, a lot of attractive women are not used to that. And I've had a couple of women that have gotten fairly, like, emotionally violent with that. They tried to destroy my reputation with me saying no to them. But then there's been other women that have been just fine. Their mind is blown that someone actually said that to them. Their mind is just like juggled. It's like it's better than anything that they've ever experienced, because it's actually you giving them something that they don't want, because they're always used to getting what they want as attractive, hot women. Like, they're used to getting what they want. So when you're able to not give them what they want, but you still maintain your integrity, you still maintain your dignity, and you're not doing this from a narcissistic perspective, holy crap. And on semen retention, it's going to be so much easier to do this. Like, it's going to be so much easier to do this. And so I often wonder and think about how what we're really going through is what I call the MMP, which is the modern mental pandemic. A lot of the people out here are mentally, they're just mentally unstable. And I genuinely think that semen retention could solve a lot of the males' depressions or anxieties or any kind of mental instability there. I genuinely think that, because it does balance you out. You do go through a purification process. And I've been on semen retention since May last year. And I genuinely think that if women were celibate, because that's really what semen retention is just celibacy, right? It's just a different kind of term for celibacy. But I think if anyone went celibate for a longer duration of time, I think it could change people's lives for real. Like, I don't think people really understand the power of celibacy and the power of keeping yourself and refraining yourself from overt sexual pleasure and desire. Now, there's nothing wrong with desire. I am not saying that you cannot express that if you're feeling it with someone at all. But if you're doing it from a place of neediness, of needing a dopamine hit, you're not actually wanting to share a connection, you're not actually wanting to share something with this person and build a life perhaps, or even a relationship, I don't think that's right at all. I don't think that's right in the slightest. And so what this is really about, what these kinds of videos are really about, is encouraging you to maintain your focus, maintain your sense of stability and inner strength, because that's ultimately what women are going to be emotionally enticed to, is your emotional strength. It's going to be how you show dominance in subtle ways. It's going to be how you how you express yourself without fear. It's going to be how you're able to move on if you need to move on. It's how you're able to walk away if you need to walk away. You don't stick around if things aren't working out for you, because that's what a lot of the stupid simps do. And that's what a lot of the players do too. Even if they are players, I've noticed, and they're like really good looking guys, they can get women, but they can't keep them. And there's a big difference between getting women and keeping them. It's a completely different thing. And I know this from experience as well. And a lot of the times the beta can be the provider, the beta provider the beta bucks and the alpha fucks. That's the that's like the quote unquote red pill term to use nowadays. And I don't necessarily like adhere to that, but I do understand what it means, like from a pure humanity perspective. Like if we were to look at the human species just as a species, then yeah, I definitely understand it. But when you bring morality into play, and when you are able to, because you're on retention, value your self-worth and really place value on what you have to give, because you've got that good milk in the community, right? You have the most solid good milk. It may be a little bit expensive, but damn, is it good. And that's what ultimately women are going to be attracted to, is them having to earn that from you. So with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.